Samira is a difficult champion, and going from this to this cannot happen overnight. You need both mechanics and good decision making to fully unlock Samira's potential, but this video will help you to get there much faster than usual. Not only have I analyzed the rank 1 Samira player's gameplay for you, but I've also actually talked to him so I can share his knowledge with you directly. You might remember the rank 1 Samira player from this video, which I released a few months ago. However, a lot of things have changed since then, so let me show you what he does nowadays so you can too start dominating your solo queue games. He told me, for example, that due to the durability update, Bloodthirster's second item would no longer be necessary, but more on that later. First and foremost, you better make sure to install the buff.game app, who are sponsoring today's video, so you can collect buff points and practice Samira at the same time. The buff app keeps track of your in-game progress while smoothly running in the background. All you need to do is simply play League of Legends as usual, and you get rewarded with buff points for just playing the game and even more for completing challenges. You can then spend these buff points on actual prizes such as Riot Points or Amazon gift cards, which allows you to unlock a new Samira skin simply by playing Samira, no matter if you win or lose. But if you manage to make a truly sick play, buff allows you to instantly share it with your friends, as the app automatically records all your highlights for you as well. Now you might be asking yourself how giving free stuff to their users could ever be a sustainable business model. Well, it's quite simple. Like most freemium products, Buff are making money with ads and paid subscriptions, but they then give some of that value back to their user base. It's a win-win situation, and it doesn't cost you anything. The Overwolf app is very safe, and since Buff runs on the Overwolf platform, you can be 100% sure that Buff is just as safe to use. The app is also not limited to just League of Legends. Playing other popular games like CSGO or Valorant, for example, will also allow you to collect more buff points. Just click the link in the video description or in the pinned comment and start playing with Buff right away. So first things first, yes, Samira synergizes way better with some support champions than with others, and you will have a much easier time winning your matches when you play duo queue, so you can tell your support to pick a champion like Nautilus or Leona every single game. These tank or engage champions, especially when they have knockups like Nautilus, drastically increase Samira's power due to her passive. The follow-up potential is just way too good in these lanes, and the rank 1 player said that he thinks this early snowballing potential is especially important in solo queue. Which is obviously correct, by the way, especially since the early game decides so much of your team's morale going forward. He likes to compare Samira to Katarina, as these early kills are all she needs to then go 2v3 or even 2v4 with her support. Just like a fat Katarina, a fat Samira can kill her opponents before they even realized what happened to them. Unlike other AD carries, Samira can still pull this off even if the rest of your team completely sucks, because her mobility and burst damage provide you with tons of options and outplay potential. When you are smart about your dash timings, making mindful decisions about when and when not to go in, when you learn to combo your spells correctly and use your cleanse and your wind wall in just the perfect moments, the outcome of a team fight can single-handedly be decided by you and you alone. But yeah, your duo queue partner might not always have time to play, or maybe you are more like me and never play with a duo at all. Shoutouts to all my solo queue warriors. Aren't you then just doomed if random e-girl supports decide to run it down? Well, the rank 1 player told me it still wouldn't be that bad for you. If you cannot snowball the lane, just play it safe and try to farm. You can still go for crazy late game plays with your entire team, since chances are at least one of your teammates will be competent enough to create an opening that allows you to follow up. You cannot go for brain-dead 2v3 plays in lane with a support like that, but if you just patiently get your CS instead, your late game will be secured regardless once you have the proper items. I will tell you exactly which items the rank 1 player buys in a second, but first I want to share his secret to Samira's teamfighting with you, because it is surprisingly simple yet highly effective. The one question you need to ask yourself is there an enemy tank in this fight or not? Should the answer be yes and they do have a tank, you cannot dash in with your WE combo right away. Instead, you have to soften up the tank by alternating between Qs and auto attacks until your Keystone Conqueror is fully stacked, and only then do you dash forward with your combo. With a pre-stacked Conqueror, you deal way more damage while also having extra sustain, giving you everything you need to muscle through the fight until you finally get your dash resets. Should there be no enemy tanks, the rank 1 player recommends to not lose any time and instead dash in at the first possible opportunity. Since your initial target is not as tanky as, well, as a tank, it is better to go in right away to give the enemy less time to coordinate their own attack, making it very likely they just die to your burst damage before they can even react properly. And once you get your first dash reset, it will already be too late for them to counterattack. I have to admit, the more I look at it, the more I'm starting to see the similarities to Katarina. However, the rank 1 player also put emphasis on not being discouraged should results not come right away for you. He said that Samira requires a lot of matchup experience because only time can teach you which spells you need to block with your W in each situation and team composition. The same is true for your summoner spell Cleanse, but a good starting point would be to always save it for hard crowd control and especially for enemy exhaust spells. Samira is just a magnet for those. And while farming is important to get to your items more quickly, it is much more important to always be there for potential teamfights, since these are the situations in which Samira can truly shine. This probably goes without saying, because you already know that Samira's passive knockup and dash resets on E are one of the best teamfighting tools in the game, but the rank 1 player's rune page makes teamfighting even more important for you. Real quick, did you know that Samira's passive allows you to go through walls? Like, you just go straight up through them? I mean, look at this, I really had no idea, but obviously you can. Well, maybe I'm just a little slow and this is common knowledge for most of you, but whatever. If I get laughed at for not knowing this, then okay. Anyway, the rank 1 player's preferred rune page is still Conqueror, Triumph, Legend Bloodline and Last Stand, with Eyeball Collection and Treasure Hunter secondary. His shards are attack speed, adaptive force and armor. This rune page really stood the test of time for Samira, but now I can actually share the valuable insights of a true Samira expert with you. We've already talked about Conqueror and how important it is for dealing with tanks, but even against squishy opponents, this keystone is still the best choice for Samira since you stack it effortlessly alongside your passive. However, the rank 1 player told me his favorite runes here are actually Last Stand and Eyeball Collection. Samira's Q has a 125% attack damage scaling and her ultimate a 50% AD ratio per shot with 5 shots per second. Or to quote the rank 1 player directly, Samira's everything is attack power. So now we can easily understand the value of Eyeball Collection, and you should no longer fall into the noob trap of skipping it in favor of Taste of Blood. Yes, it makes laning easier, but the other two domination runes are so much stronger it is not even close. However, with that in mind, I had to ask him the question, if attack damage is so important for Samira, why don't you just go for Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm secondary? But when I got his answer, I almost felt a little bit stupid because the explanation was quite obvious in hindsight. Both Eyeball Collection and Gathering Storm are quite comparable in terms of power level, so the question boiled down to Absolute Focus versus Treasure Hunter. And as it turns out, Absolute Focus is really bad on a champion like Samira. Yes, more attack damage is crazy strong on this champion, but the problem is that Samira is constantly in the middle of the fight, so she pretty much never fulfills the 70% HP requirement. In other words, due to Samira's playstyle, the value of Absolute Focus is effectively 0. It is the exact same reason why Last Stand is so extremely strong on Samira, which is pretty much the polar opposite of the rune Absolute Focus. Increasing your damage output when you are low is exactly what Samira wants, and her kit is very snowbally by nature. So while Absolute Focus will do almost nothing for you, Treasure Hunter enables you to snowball even faster, since even just at 3 stacks, this rune provides an extra kill worth of gold. But which items do you actually buy with your gold nowadays? Well, the rank 1 player said that the 3 best stats on Samira are attack damage, crit chance and lifesteal. But before you get your full items, we need to have a look at component items because he values them very highly and buying them in the correct order is important. You start with Doran's Blade and a potion, but which component item you get first depends on your back timing. The 3 strongest for Samira are, in his opinion, Noonquiver, Serrated Dirk and Vamp Scepter in this exact order. So as a very basic rule of thumb, you want to buy Noonquiver on your first base if you have 1300 gold. But if you don't have that much gold, you buy Serrated Dirk on your first base for 1100. If you also cannot afford that, you get Vamp Scepter for 900 gold. In any other case, just buy Longswords. Anyway, once you have all 3 of these component items, you simply sit on Serrated Dirk and complete your shield bow. It is just the optimal mythic item for Samira and also combines perfectly with the rune of Last Stand, making its damage amplification way more consistent. For his second item, he upgrades Dirk to Collector. Yes, he no longer buys an early Bloodthirster, because ever since the durability update hit the live service, you simply don't need that much defense during the early and mid game anymore. Even fed assassins can no longer one-shot you through shield bow, so you don't have to worry about that. The durability update in general was a godsend for Samira, because killing her with burst damage before she can even stack up her ultimate was a huge problem for the champion. In any case, nowadays Collector is the perfect choice for your second item slot, because 55 flat AD in combination with the lethality is very strong for early game snowballing. Bloodthirster in comparison is much more effective when purchased late game, since not only does its shield scale with level, but the more damage you deal, the more value you are getting from its lifesteal too. Only if the enemy team are very tanky do you skip Collector in favor of Lord Dominic's Regards for your second item. Samira's third item is always Infinity Edge, since it provides the highest amount of attack damage while also amplifying your crit damage, buffing both your Q spell and your ultimate significantly. For your fourth and fifth item, you want Guardian Angel and Bloodthirster. The rank 1 player generally speaking prioritizes Guardian Angel, but if the enemy team don't have much physical burst damage, he will buy Bloodthirster fourth and Guardian Angel last. For your boots, you want either Plated Steel Caps or Mercury Treads, as both work quite well in their respective matchups. Should the enemy team be rather balanced and it is difficult to tell whether Steel Caps or Mercs would be better, you should just buy Steel Caps. However, it is very important to not waste early gold on your boots upgrade. It is best to sit on tier 1 boots during the early game and only upgrade them after you've finished your second item, which, again, is Collector in most cases. But if you need more information, the rank 1 player also has his own YouTube channel. I'll put a link on the screen. The channel is purely in Turkish, however, so if you don't understand the language, I also have plenty of English Samira content on my channel. Just click one of the links on your screen right there.